Welcome back to the Women's Basketball Summit, the online summit for players, coaches, and parents. Today, my guest is Emily Garner. She is the head coach at Trinity College, and I am super excited to talk to her. I've been wanting to get a NESCAC coach on, also a very dear friend of mine. Her daughter is going to be going there in a couple years. So, Emily, welcome to the call.
Thank you so much. Excited to be here today.
So for everyone that is listening that is not familiar with you, tell us a little bit about your background as a player and then how you got into coaching.
Sure, absolutely. So I grew up kind of really supportive family in terms of sports, got me involved in a lot of different sports early on. Kind of became clear around 10, 11, 12 that basketball was my true passion and really where my heart kind of was focused in on. So about that time, I started kind of getting basketball specific, really got into the AAU realm. And then from there, obviously jumped right into high school basketball. And at that point, for me, there was no looking back. I knew it was a sport I was in love with. Just felt like I learned so much and grew so much, not just as a player, but as a person. So kind of beginning the recruiting process for me, I knew I wanted high academics, and that was something that was really important to me. And so was very fortunate to be kind of recruited from all areas, D1, D2, D3. And really, from my end, I wound up at Lafayette College because of the combination of academics and athletics. And that was something that was extremely important to me. I felt like it was a great community, great campus vibe, and most importantly, was going to set me up for success, not just for my 4 years, but for the 40 years beyond that. And then from there, I played 4 years, had a great experience, great coaching staff. Graduated, wasn't entirely sure what I was going to do. Had an opportunity to play overseas, and in my first game over there, blew out my knee, so it was a very short stint. But in that's actually what led me to get into coaching. So as I'm kind of coming home trying to figure out what I'm going to do as I go through the ACL reconstruction and all that, I get a call from my high school coach who was kind of like, hey, know you're back in the area. Can you come help us out? And so for me, that was my intro into coaching. I spent a year back at my high school, Robinson Secondary in Fairfax, Virginia, and had the coaching bug. So spent a year there, kind of felt like I wanted to transition into the college realm. Was very fortunate to get a graduate assistant position under Gail Strigler at Long Island University in Brooklyn. Spent 2 years there, had a great experience there, had some really great teams and also just great experiences with the players. Upon graduating, getting my master's in education, 2012, Dave McGarity from Army. I had played in the Patriot League, had some connections there. I'd worked with Colleen Mullen, who became his associate head coach there for 2 years at Long Island, and was very fortunate that the timing worked out. I wound up being on that staff for 4 years with Dave, who is an incredible mentor, incredible leader, and we were very fortunate to have 2 Patriot League championship teams throughout my time there. And honestly, I really was high on the NESCAC from the beginning. I loved the combination of academics and athletics. I knew that going into the NESCAC, you were competing on a national stage each and every game. And one of the things about the NESCAC is jobs are rarely open because it's such a competitive league and something that's such a great place to be a part of. So when the Trinity job opened, I was absolutely mind blown. I, was very excited to get the opportunity to be here, and I've been here the last 2 years and could not be happier to be here. I think it's an incredible combination of academics and athletics and really offers the best of both worlds in regards to that.
Nice. So for everyone listening that is not familiar with the NESCAC, can you explain or go over what the conference is, kind of what teams are in it, just educate everyone?
Absolutely. So the NESCAC is the New England Small College Athletic Conference. We have 11 teams in our conference, kind of comprises the New England area. Everyone is a high academic school, and it is, make sure I don't miss anyone here, but Tufts, Bowdoin, Bates, Colby, Hamilton, Conn College, Wesleyan, Amherst, Trinity, obviously. Try to think who I'm missing right on the spot. But it's comprised of all very high academic schools. It's an extremely competitive league, arguably the most competitive in Division III. And from my end, it is a great place to be. We absolutely have Division I, Division II caliber level players in our conference. And really what we kind of offer is the balance of competing on a national stage each and every game while having the opportunity to participate in internships, really get involved over the summer, maybe do summer study abroad, and really be set up for life in terms of a great education.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask you if we had to rank the conferences like they do in Division I,
sure.
Where would the NESCAC rank in Division III? And I would have to say if it's not the top, it's definitely in the top 3 to 5 easily.
Yeah, I mean, I would say us in the UAA are very, very high up there. I mean, arguably you have just last year, you know, you had two NESCAC teams competing for a national championship. So to me, it's really, in terms of that, it's, if not the most competitive, certainly one of the top competitive conferences in Division III.
So what is it like as a coach, just trying, because I know Amherst obviously for Division III is always a powerhouse, Bowdoin's another one. You're competing with these guys in the conference year in, year out. What is it like to coach against them, but also to get your players to know, like, they're playing the best in the country, you know, every winter, just to kind of compete at that level?
Yeah, I mean, I think from our end, it's an exciting thing to be a part of. You're talking about competing on a national stage, like I talked about, but for us, it's a chance to get to play the best of the best each and every year. I think the great thing is it's kind of any given Sunday, you know, for lack of a better term, but every given Friday or Saturday. And there's really never any game that either way is kind of an automatic win. So our conference in that way is absolutely incredible. I think all the coaching staffs have a tremendous amount of respect for one another. We really believe that iron sharpens iron. You get better by playing against the best. It's certainly a tough battle being in the NESCAC, but also a great one. I think it's something that from my end as a coach, and I think from our players' perspective, they love the chance to compete against the best of the best each and every game. And for us, I mean, there's no doubt that competing against an Amherst or a Bowdoin or a Tufts it's a battle for sure. But it also allows us to continue to grow and get better and benchmark ourselves against some of the best in the country.
Nice. So, I was talking about this with a lot of coaches earlier. I was talking to Maria Nukas, who is the assistant coach at Loyola Chicago, but she played for Bowdoin. And we were talking about, like, how kids nowadays have their eyes set on Division I. They don't, you know, they think that's the biggest thing. And I'm like, you know, I try to always educate them, especially being in the New England area, that there's some great Division II, Division III schools. Do you have trouble when you're recruiting, trying to educate these athletes that, you know, there's really competitive basketball in Division III?
Sure, absolutely. I think from our end, it's about giving them that information and helping them see that there are different perspectives and different scopes out there. I think it's very dependent on the individual, but I think especially if they have a support network, whether it's an AAU coach, high school coach, parent, who understands the route and what opportunities can be presented from going through D3, I think it's very, very helpful. From my end, having the Division I background and being able to kind of compare and contrast the two, I think really the only difference is kind of self-motivation. You have to be a little bit more self-motivated in terms of your coaches aren't out there with you in the preseason and postseason, but there's no doubt that they're working just as hard. I think in terms of getting after it each and every day, we're absolutely working day in and day out to get better. But I think when we really get into those conversations, I think most players are open to hearing about it, especially when you talk about the academic opportunities and the understanding that at some point the ball's going to stop bouncing, and what is that going to look like beyond your future with basketball. And so when we talk about those opportunities with recruits, it seems to really open their eyes to possibilities, whether it's within internships over the summer, study abroad over the summer, or whatever that is. I think the opportunities always give them a chance to see something outside of maybe the Division I, Division II. I think the other piece of that is we have Division I, Division II players in our conference, players who absolutely had opportunities to go that level and just said, hey, listen, like, this is the best fit for me academically or athletically or whatever it was. But I think when they often hear about players that they competed against at AAU or high school and they saw what they did at that level, and now that they're playing in the NESCAC or playing at a high-level Division III school, they understand what that can give you in terms of not just basketball, but the broader scope of education and career beyond that.
Yeah, I am a big supporter of kids nowadays more than ever, just kind of opening their eyes to everything, because I think when we play, like I played 20, you know, almost 20 years ago, I'm aging myself a little bit, 20 years ago, like kind of high school and college, we didn't play year round. Like, so a lot of kids going into college right now, they're burnt out. They played one sport since they've been 10 years old. You're going to go to a Division I school. You're staying there in the summer for a summer session. You're conditioning. You're maybe going home for 3 weeks. The nice thing about, I believe, Division II and Division III, like, you can go home for the summer. Yes, you're most likely going to get a summer program, but if you wanted to go abroad, like you just said, you can. And I think personally nowadays, I think in just society and how much we're always like just on, kids need the summer off. So again, big component of Division III. I think the NESCAC, especially again being right outside of Boston, want to support you guys in every way. So Changing gears a little bit, you played, as you said, Division I. You were a player. How does that help you relate to your players now that you were a player, now you're a coach? But do you think that helps you understand what they're thinking a little better and just relate to them?
Absolutely. I think we have shared experiences that sometimes only as an athlete you understand by going through it yourself. So, the thing that I always tell them, the one thing I can guarantee that they don't know yet is what it feels like to take off your shoes for the last time, take off your jersey for the last time, and kind of what it means to have that perspective beyond basketball. But when we kind of talk about those things, I think as an athlete, things you take and you learn that translate to coaching, obviously the connections is a huge one. I think having the ability to both be a mentor and share those opportunities for growth. I really think our jobs as coaches are to inspire and empower and really inspire our players to find their goals and find what they're passionate about in life and then empower them to pursue that. I certainly had that as a player with my coaches and feel very fortunate to have had that opportunity to have played for coaches that allowed me to do that. I think certainly the perseverance piece of day in and day out grind a bit. It's different physical demands as a coach than as a player and different kind of mental kind of approaches, but in a lot of ways, the same mental toughness, the same time management that I took as a player, it's certainly helped me in coaching. And also helps me as we kind of go through, our coaching staff helps our players go through different challenges in their collegiate careers, whether that's on the court, in the classroom, or in the community.
Nice. So refresh my memory, because with Division II, Division III, all the rules,
Sure.
The kids will be coming back to school shortly.
Sure.
When can you start to work with them?
Sure. So we cannot start until November 1st, which is specifically NESCAC. The rest of Division III will start October 15th. But they pretty much, they are very self-motivated within the first week of school. They're going to start working out in the weight room. They'll be on the court playing pickup. And I think that's one of the biggest differences, and the biggest thing we look for is self-motivated self-starters who are going to get after it on their own time. So from our end, they spend the first kind of 2.5 months working by themselves, developing that team chemistry, developing that team culture and what this new season's going to look like for us. And then November 1st, we kind of hit the ground running. So we play November 18th, so we get about 16 practices in before we start to play. And as that's a very short span when you're talking about jumping right into competitive play. So we rely on them heavily in terms of getting things going and getting things started on their own. And then, we kind of take things over in November and run from there. But I think the great thing is we have tremendous leadership. And I think that's what that kind of programming, the way that's set up, it helps develop that, because our upperclassmen really take on that role as leaders and really help our underclassmen kind of transition into playing at the collegiate level and what that looks like.
So you said the kids will be in the weight room. They'll be practicing. Is there a strength coach that will be leading them through the workouts?
Yes. And everything's optional. And I think that's the biggest thing with Division III is it's optional, but certainly for safety reasons, for safety purposes, there is always a strength coach that is helping them work out. And again, if that's something that they have, a study session or whatever it is, obviously that's what they're putting as their priority and that's where they're at. From on the court, their pickup is run on their own. They play on their own. But yes, there's someone in the weight room, obviously guiding them, making sure that they're okay in that scenario and helping them kind of learn and tiering the weight appropriately.
So it sounds like you're a big supportive component that your girls should be in the weight room. They should be getting stronger. It's only going to benefit them on the court, but also let's prevent injuries and everything else.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And we're really lucky. We have great strength coaches that are tremendous assets to our program. I think, especially with regards to sport-specific lifts and injury prevention, that's something that has been really helpful for our program, is making sure, one, they have the conditioning and strength to make it through the duration of the season. Even with a little bit of shorter season in the NESCAC, it's still much longer than a typical high school season looks like. So it's a little bit different in terms of conditioning and strength from high school. And then also, just kind of creating that culture and that dynamic within the weight room. I think it kind of enables our team to push through some things together right off the bat and kind of develop that team camaraderie with team lifts.
Nice. So obviously you have a little longer to go when your season starts. So what are your expectations this year with your team?
Yeah, I think from our end, we're continuing to grow and get better. I mean, one of our big themes is rise every single day. So we want to rise up to our challenges and continue to grow and get better. And really what we talk about is competing against ourselves and against each other day in and day out to grow and really try to rise up the ranks of the NESCAC. obviously it's a tough league, as we've talked about, and it's something that for right now we're working on kind of just fighting day in and day out to get a little bit better. So we talk a lot on our team about trusting the process and understanding that the work we put in, whether it's today, next week, in 2 months, is going to pay off in the long run. And really we're focused on one day at a time, one game at a time. So for right now, nothing's more important than them getting better each and every day. And then as November 1st rolls around, we'll focus on that, and then our first game, and so on and so forth.
Nice. So just kind of circling back with everything we talked about, you were a player, you played Division I. For all like the athletes, the players out there, what advice would you give to kind of the younger athlete, if they're in middle school, high school, that has, aspirations to play college basketball? What would be your advice?
Sure. I think first and foremost, be open to different schools, different levels. I think that's something that's really, really important, especially early on, is choose a school that's the best fit for you academically and socially, not just basketball-wise. I think that's something that sometimes gets lost in the process, but is a big piece of it. And another part of that is don't get too wrapped up in the recruiting process. I think people, especially when you're playing AAU, you look on the baseline, all of a sudden there are 50 coaches sitting there, and you might get nervous, might get tight. The honest answer is we watch so many different games. We're likely to have the chance to see you play multiple times. And coaches want to see you play poorly. We want to see how you react to different situations. We want to see you in situations that breed a little bit of adversity and a little bit of toughness. And I think the thought process is we want to see the perfect game, and it's actually the opposite of that. We're going to see probably anywhere between 5 and 10 games of any given recruit over the span of a summer, and we'll see a great game and we'll see a bad game. And I think that whatever happens, just continue to stay focused, continue to get better and grow, and don't get too frustrated with your circumstances. The last piece of advice I'd say is reach out to colleges that you may not have heard from, and if there's somewhere you're interested in, reach out to that coaching staff and see if they'll come see you play or go to an elite camp or something like that. So you're beginning to create those connections, especially as a young high schooler or middle schooler. A lot of times, especially in the D3 world, we're not focused on middle schoolers quite yet, but it's certainly something that if they're on our radar, they're getting to know us, it helps them develop those relationships and vice versa. That's
some great advice. And I think one of the things you said is like they want to see you play at their worst, because especially if like you're going to play at an SCAC or let's just say an Ivy League school, like you need to balance being an athlete, but also at student work. So if like something isn't going your way and you just completely melt,
sure.
I think that it tells a lot about what's going to happen when, because I played D1, you did too. Most of the time it sucks. Yep. and it's hard work. And I don't think people realize like how hard it is. And yes, we're lucky that a lot of us got full rides, but most people couldn't have done what we did, because when they say jump, you say, how high would you like me to jump?
Right.
Absolutely. So as wrapping up this call, one of the ways I actually kind of found you before I found out that a friend's daughter is going to be going to your school in a couple of years, I love your Instagram account. I think you guys do an amazing job. I'm not sure who actually does all the posting, but the one thing I love, you like highlight your players. You do like kind of throwbacks to players that used to play. So for everyone listening, like check out their Instagram account, because it's awesome how they just highlight team. What is, off the top of my head, I have no idea what it is. What is the Instagram account?
It's Trin called WBB. So it's TRINCOLL WBB. Pretty easy to find us on Instagram. Please follow us on Twitter as well. We're on there as well. But I think that's one of the things we like to showcase is our team. I think it's one of the best parts about Trinity is the campus community, the athletic community, and we're really fortunate to have a great group of players and a great team. So from our end, it's a lot of fun to share those pieces and share their experiences and why they chose to come to a school like Trinity.
Nice. And then for everyone listening, if they want to find more about like you as a coach or just Trinity College, where can they find you?
Sure, absolutely. So if you go to any of our Instagram, Twitter pages, please be on there. bantamsports.com is another way to find us. My email's right on there. My cell phone's on there. So any way to reach out to us, always please do. But bantamsports.com is another way to follow Trinity's athletics as well as our team and program.
Awesome. And for everyone, like I said, everyone listening, like check out Division III, check out the NESCAC schools, support them, because they're in a great conference, great education, but it's great basketball. And we need to, as a whole, we need to support D1, D2, and D3. So Emily, thank you so much for spending the time. I know you come close to the Boston area when you play at Tufts and everything, so I'm hopefully going to be at a game this year.
We'd love it. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
All right. Talk to you soon.
Thanks so much. Have a good one.